Today I'm laser engraving a business logo on these really cool spill irons. These are from Franklin Iron over in Alabama. And these are pieces of iron that are left over after they do a casting job. They're usually considered waste, but they came up with a clever idea of turning them into appreciation gifts for their customers. You can see it has a very beautiful glass-like finish. Really, really nice. The first step was to prep these irons with laser marking spray. Some metals engrave just fine, but some metals take to engraving more than others, depending upon the power of the laser you have. So sometimes you need the marking spray to make the engraving permanent. I use OM Tech spray, and it gives the iron a nice white powdery coat. And then we set the laser up to engrave the logo onto the metal. So here we go with the computer part. I open up Xtool Creative Space and I import their logo. So there's their logo. And I'll just kind of roughly center it up here just for a second. This is a PNG, and images are kind of meh for engraving. They just don't engrave as well as vector files. So the first thing I want to do is a trace. And you can see here that there are now blue lines where XCS is actually creating vectors from the PNG image. I'll just adjust the fuzziness threshold, and I'll pull back on the denoising, and I'll pull back on the smoothness. Because what I want is sharp, straight lines. I don't want a lot of rounded edges. I'm going to turn off layering by color because I don't have color on here, and then I'm simply going to save that. And now you can see that we actually have two layers now. We still have the PNG image, and we also have the new compound vector. So what I'm going to do is highlight the image, and I can just delete that layer. And so now you can see all of these faint blue lines. It's a bit hard to see because right now this is set to score. But we don't want score, that's more of an outline. And we don't want cut because we're not cutting anything. What we want is engrave. Great. So now you can see that our logo is a filled-in vector. It's no longer an image, it's a vector. And vectors engrave a lot cleaner than images or photos. I'm going with blue light and 83 on the power, 250 on the speed, just one pass, 200 lines per centimeter, and bidirectional. And on my processing, I have it set to smart, so the computer will figure out what needs to engrave in what order, just for a quicker process. If I turn that off, then it would engrave line by line. But I like the smart feature, it just makes it a lot quicker. And it's pretty cool to watch. Kind of therapeutic, actually. And so that's it. That's all I need to do here. So the next step is to take one of our pieces of iron that's obviously been sprayed and just place it in the F1. And first thing I'll do is just get a rough focus where the red and the blue dots converge. I'm going to do some framing, and I have framing set to the vector outline rather than the full rectangle of the whole work area. Makes it much easier to visualize the logo. And I just kind of center that up. Make sure everything's nice and straight. That looks good. So I can stop my framing and I can start my process. And all I need to do now is close the lid, and on my computer, I'll hit start. And off we go. So now you can see that the Franklin Iron logo is now permanently engraved into the iron spill. And the next step is to clean this off. So we'll take it and wash it off, and then it'll be ready for the UV resin coating. To me, this is a really cool part of the process, but one where time is of the essence, because we wash all this iron in water, and of course that means rust. So we're going to wash and then quickly dry. Watch the white disappear. So cool. Okay, so our iron is clean and dry, and you can see that it's looking okay. It could be a lot sharper, but the epoxy is going to take care of that. When you hit it with the light, it looks a lot better. But you can see that it's just kind of a flat, dull image. So we're going to take care of that. We're going to coat this in UV resin, which hardens super fast. We're just going to put a nice clear coat here to begin with. And I'm going to start by just kind of spreading this out with my finger. And I want to get it around the edges, but I don't want it to drip. So I'm going to be kind of careful about how far I go. We'll get it coated well, and then we'll probably do another coat to really kind of thicken it up. So that's looking pretty good. If I take my light and move around, you can see that that's a pretty good coating. Let's see, one little spot there that needs just a touch. And this levels out pretty quickly. You want to check the view from all angles to make sure it's looking smooth. Now what it does need is some degassing. So I have a torch. You can see a few tiny bubbles in there. So I'm just going to hit it real quick, just real fast. And you can see those bubbles just pop right away. So that's all it takes right there. Now I'm going to swing my UV light over, and we're going to hit that with some UV light. And that's going to harden up pretty much right away. I usually give it 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes or so, and that'll be pretty much like glass. Okay, that should be good. So I'm going to move my light out of the way. And you can see that it looks a lot better already. That logo really just kind of pops now. And so now I'm going to flip this over and repeat the process for the back side, just to seal it up to prevent any rusting. Okay, so see, that looks good. You can see right away there the big difference between the before and after. It's a nice glassy finish. It'll never rust because it's sealed off, versus the raw iron, which is exposed to the elements, and the logo's harder to see. So that resin coating really makes a big difference. Love it. We'll just finish up this batch and get it shipped out.